Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Brooke. If you are a follower of mine, then you may have noticed that my last few weeks of videos have not quite been normal, and I'm going to explain that here in just a second, a little bit of a life update. If you are watching this video for the curriculum review, then you can just skip on ahead. If you don't care anything about what's been going on with me, you can just skip on ahead. After I edit, I'll get a timestamp for you to look at so you can scroll ahead through to the curriculum review. So real quick, an update of what's been going on. I was, doing some homeschool videos, and then I just did a couple of shorts and things. I just wanted to be present and let y'all know that I was still here, even though I didn't have time to record actual videos. And something else new, I'm wearing glasses. I wear contacts normally, but I had to recently buy new contacts, and if you've seen the price of contacts, then you'll know why I'm trying to save on the contacts and wear the glasses. So this is a Saturday, I'm just at home. Not going anywhere really, so it's a glasses kind of day, so you get to see me on my glasses day. Speaking of glasses and eyeballs, that was one of the things that happened these last few weeks. About, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, my time is all messed up, but somewhere in about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we just had a few things all hit us at once. My husband had problems with his eyes, and this has kind of been an ongoing thing, but it all of a sudden got really bad when we took him to the doctor. And he had an ulcer on his cornea. Luckily, it wasn't anywhere like in the eyesight, around the iris or pupil or anything, because he has a scar now. It's over and done with, but the doctor told him that he's going to have a scar probably for the rest of his life on his cornea, where he had an ulcer, and then the ulcer got infected. It was a mess. I was having to take him back and forth to the doctor because he couldn't drive. He was so light sensitive that he would sit in the house with the lights off and the blinds closed and everything because he couldn't stand even a little bit of light, and all that with wearing like sunglasses and a hat in the house. He couldn't stand any light whatsoever. So if me and our family situation, he homeschools our kids. He does the day-to-day stuff with them. So he couldn't really do any of that. Plus we have a 1-year-old. So he was at home trying to take care of the 1-year-old and make sure the girls were getting their schoolwork done, and it was just a mess. So there was days where I was coming home early, going in late to work because I work outside the home, and it was just a mess. So and he does most of the cooking for us too. So I was having to come home from work, take him to the eye doctor, get back home, and he would just not be able to do anything, because if you've ever had eye problems, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to have to hold your eyes open. So that was just a mess during that time of me having to take him back and forth to the doctor, going back and forth to work, trying to make sure the girls got their school done, take care of the baby, cook supper when I got home from work, make sure everything was ready for the next day. It was a mess. So we were just running crazy there for about a week and a half before we got that cleared up. And he's still not totally cleared up. He's got an appointment. They put the next one out for about 3 or 4 weeks out. So he's got to go back and see what's going on or what the next steps are so this doesn't happen again. So that was a mess. Also, my 1-year-old, we found out, well, it wasn't a new thing. We knew that he was kind of lactose intolerant, maybe not completely lactose intolerant, but we knew that he had a tendency to get his stomach upset if he had regular milk. He's 14 months old now. Even when I was breastfeeding at first with him, I knew that it was affecting him. What I was having was affecting him. And we just couldn't get that straightened out. We ended up going to formula after a little while, and we tried different formulas, and we went to almost the totally lactose-free kind. Like what we were using was, super sensitive. It wasn't that last level of, I forget what the name of it is, but there's the one that kids use when they are completely lactose intolerant. We didn't go to soy or anything like that, but it was like the next step to that. And that formula seemed to be good for him. So I thought after all the time of him being on that formula and then us slowly weaning him to regular milk, that we could see if he was going to be, still have that sensitivity, and it didn't seem like he was. But then I guess, I don't know, when we finally totally weaned off of the formula to the milk and then he got more of it, I really don't know what happened those couple weeks ago, but he got an upset stomach. He wasn't throwing up, but if you're lactose intolerant, you know what I mean. And it was bad. We were dealing with that and trying to get that cleared up, and it took about a week and a half. We were monitoring him because he was using the bathroom so much. We were monitoring him for dehydration, and watching him super close. And my husband does a really good job with the kids, but there's just something different when mama's taking care of the babies and the kids than when daddy is, it is in our house anyway. That's the case. Mamas just have a mama instinct, I think, that dads don't have. No offense to the dads. I think that's just a thing. Don't hate me. That's just in my experience. That's how it's been. So my husband being home with him while he's sick, he just didn't notice some things that I noticed. So that just added to my time when I got home of being like, okay, well, this is what's going on. We got to take care of this. You know, did you feed him this and this today, or did he have this and this to drink? You know, just trying to get things narrowed down to figure out what was going on with him. We thought maybe he had a stomach bug, and then it was he had spent the night with my sister, and I think that she had given him some milk. This was before we were realizing that he had the milk sensitivity still, because he was getting regular milk. His daily meals, he was getting milk, and we didn't. So we thought that he didn't have as much of a sensitivity to it anymore, but I guess he all of a sudden got a lot that weekend with her, and then we had given him some milk, and it was just, so we kind of went down to an elimination diet with him, not only because we were trying to figure out what was going on with him, but because we needed to get him better because he was going to the bathroom so much we were scared he was going to get dehydrated. So we finally got that figured out. He's on lactose-free milk now. We took out all the dairy, and we're just slowly giving him a little bit here and there. So finally we got that figured out. There was something else going on that I was going to tell y'all about, but that's what has took up most of my time for the last 3 or 4 weeks, was between going back and forth to the doctor, contemplating if I needed to take my son back and forth to the doctor, watching him. And with kids, it's an hour by hour thing. If they get dehydrated, it's going to be quick. So there were some days where we had to really watch them, and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch them through the night, and in the morning I'm probably taking him to the doctor, and then in the morning it would be a little bit better, and I'm like, all right, we're going to watch him for today, and I may take him in on a sick visit this afternoon. It was just hour by hour, day by day, we were watching him to see, and we finally got that cleared up. So that takes a lot of time, and homeschooling on top of that, so I didn't have much time to record videos. But today we are going to be doing a curriculum review of my daughter's 8th grade science materials. I have 2 different books, or 2 different sets of books. The first one we are doing is Exploring Biology. This is by Memoria Press. I think this one, I was new to this curriculum. One of these I've got, or the 2 that I'm doing are both Memoria Press, and you can go to their website and find it. I've got a link actually to their website. One of these, it says Master Books, and I am still new to this. This does not say Master Books. You can get both of these curriculums on memoriapress.com with the links that are in my description. But this one does not say Master Books, so I'm not really sure why or how that works, one being Master Books, one not, but they are both Memoria Press, and I do have a link where you can find those on their website. I kind of found these. I was looking for something a little bit easier for my 8th grader for this year, because I knew we were going to jump into high school, probably doing biology next year for 9th grade. So we got her 2 different ones, and this is what I'm going to be showing you. This is one of the books for the next set, The Book of Trees by Memoria Press. That's the second, what she did for 2nd semester. First semester we did this, and this is what I'm going to show you. This curriculum review, if you haven't seen my other ones, I will put a link to up here in the top somewhere, and in the description box there'll be a link to the other curriculum reviews I've done. I did do a reveal where I kind of skimmed over the things that I was going to be doing for my 3rd and 8th graders for this year, but this I'm going to actually go through the book and show you what the pages look like, and a little bit less of my thoughts about the curriculum and more of just what is in the book. So let's get started. This is Exploring the World of Biology. This is the complete set. As far as I know, you got a supplemental questions book. You've got the answer key, and then you've got the actual workbook. And both of these are very open and go. We are very much geared toward independent work for our kids, and this fits that perfectly. So these 3 books, so let me go through the workbook first. And this is used because this is what my daughter did this first semester. So it is a soft cover book, and it's not colored. The outside is colored, the inside is black and white. And I don't like that. My daughter really likes the color stuff. I know the content is more important than the colors, but I do wish it was colored. Anyway, here's what we got. I'm going to hold this on the table of contents so that you can pause and expand that if you want to look at it. This has 14 chapters, and it goes from the Hidden Kingdom, which was like microorganisms, all the way up to mammals, and then the last section was pretty cool, frauds, hoaxes, and wishful thinking. It was about like mythical creatures kind of thing. So as we go into the book, this is just the intro kind of stuff explaining about the book. And again, this is a black and white. Here's chapter 1. like I said, it is used. My daughter has highlighted through here, and I'll just show you how big these chapters are. Each chapter is pretty well the same as far as size. So this is chapter 1, the Hidden Kingdom. It's got little questions in each chapter, not part of like the end of chapter questions, but just little questions in there. And my daughter answered those because this isn't, I don't know, it's not really in depth. I think this is supposed to be more of a, maybe not a full semester type book, but I stretched it out and made it a full semester. All right, so there's chapter 1. It does have good pictures, even though they're not colored. There are good pictures and good details in here. And this is still in chapter 1. I split it up. If you'll see, sometimes there's my daughter has some writing in here where it says stop, because that is where I had her to stop on that day. Like, we split each chapter into 2 days. So she would read half the chapter one day, and then the next day read the next chapter and then answer the questions. So that was all of chapter 1. What was that, like 6 or 7 pages? And then you have the questions. And this is all the questions for chapter 1. So it's not really that much. There's 12 questions. That starts in chapter 2. There's 12 questions, and then there's an Explore More section. Explore More is an opportunity to explore the subject in your own way. Take a photograph, draw a picture, collect a sample, make a poster, write a poem about the subject, list the pros or cons as to whether the subject is helpful or harmful, or interview a person who has experience with the subject. For example, interview a person who has had pneumonia. How did the doctors treat the disease? Have you ever eaten Roquefort cheese? How would you describe its taste? So this gives you things to add to the chapter to explore more, like it says. So you could just go in more depth about what they studied in this chapter. So what I did with these was I picked 1 or 2 things for her to do, and she would do that in a separate notebook. Subjects for more exploration, and then it gives different things for them to look up. You could use that as a vocabulary resource or something. So that's all the questions for that chapter. Like I said, we split this up because it's really not that much as far as 1 day's worth of work for a science subject. And then we go into chapter 2, and it's all the same. There's the little questions in that chapter for chapter 2. I'm not going to go through every chapter. I'm just kind of showing you what some of these pictures look like. Again, this is definitely used. My daughter has highlighted. She loves doing the note-taking and highlighting, the underlining and all that. I'm just going to show you the length of this chapter as well. And that's it. And then there are the questions. And there's 13 questions for this one. And then you have the Explore More section. And I've got underlined what she was supposed to do. And you can just kind of play around with this and add things to it. Make it bigger or smaller. You could have them just answer those questions, and you can add this to it, and you can add even more things to it. So it's really easy, open and go, plus it's easy to add things to it. I think, let me go, yeah, that's it. If you want to see something specifically or have a question about one of these chapters, I'd be happy to answer that in the comments, in the comment section. But I did like this. She learned a lot. She would stop and tell me, during the day or at the end of the day, she would tell me something that she had learned that was interesting. And this goes up to mammals. So it's a really good overview of biology, a quick overview, not going into too much detail. I also had her to do this. It's the supplemental student questions. So you had those 12 to 13 questions with each chapter. And then I also had her to do this. And this is just with each chapter. It has supplemental questions for each chapter, and then you have a review. So we kind of treated that as a test. Oh, hold on. Rewind. This is in the workbook. In the back of the workbook is the answers. The answer key to all of those questions are in the back of this book. Let's see if there was anything else. Nope, just like a content type thing, where to find things. Index in the back. All right, so the answer to those questions are in that workbook. So very open and go. And then here is the teacher key. Nope, that wasn't what we were doing. Okay, and this was the supplemental questions. So for each chapter, this is chapter 1 page. We have 10 more questions. So I had her to do this because I thought she needed a little bit more time on the subject each day. So she also had the questions for this, and it tells you, chapter 1, chapter 2. Chapter 2 has 10 questions. I think they all had 10 questions. And then after chapter 3, you have a review. And this is chapters 1 through 3 review. So we treated this as her test. And again, what it showed you on the table of contents, you had a chapter review for 1 through 3, 4 through 7, 8 through 11, and then 12 through 14. And she's already finished this. The questions, the answer to these questions are in the teacher key and tests. So supplemental questions, answers are in here. This is the teacher key. This also is kind of like a teacher's guide. Table of contents there for each one. You've got the supplemental questions, the answers to the supplemental questions and reviews, answers to the tests, and then the tests. And you have a test for chapters 1 through 3, 4 through 7, 8 through 11, 12 through 14 that match the reviews, and then the answer keys. And this one also gives a teacher guide. It kind of tells you a good way of teaching this course. And then there are the answers. This is laid out just like the book. It looks identical to the book, except for the answers are written in here. So chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then you have the chapter 1 through 3 review. After that, you could go back here and get that test. Let me find the test. Answer key. Okay, tests. You could have them do the test in here. We didn't do this test. Some of them we did, like I mixed it up. Some of them she did the review as a test. Some of them she did the test as a test, if that makes sense. So this one is blank because we didn't actually use this one, but this is the chapter 1 through 3 test, and these 2 pages is it. You could have them do the test in this book, or you can make copies. And then the answer keys is in the back here. So answer key to the test right there. Very easy, open and go. That is it for this one. We had the 3 books, the teacher book with the tests and the answer keys, the supplemental student questions, and the workbook, which also has the answers to the questions in there. We made this work for 1 semester. You could, like I say, you could customize it, make it work for a shorter amount of time, or stretch it out for the whole year. Next is also, like I said, another Memoria Press series or set, and this is the Book of Trees. There is one book that I'm missing here that we haven't gotten yet because we haven't actually gotten to the point where she really needed it, but it's the Peterson's Guide. Is it Peterson's Guide First Book of Trees? Something like that. It's in the link. I've got a link to where you can buy this set on Memoria Press. I bought mine off of christianbook.com actually. So, and I just bought one of these. I ended up not having I bought the books off separate and ended up not having the teacher guide, and I had to go back and get it separate because I was like, oh, we can't do this. I don't have the answers. So you've got 4 books actually to this set. The tree guide, you can, I don't know, I'm all about getting stuff cheap, so I may end up buying it like off of Amazon or see if I can find it somewhere even cheaper, like a discount book website. But anyway, that's the other book that you will need to finish this. Let me just go through this. This is kind of like the other one where you have the workbook, except for you have a reader and a workbook separate. So you're going to read out of this book, the introduction to botany through the study of trees, and then you're going to answer questions in this book. So let me show you this. We also have the teacher guide. I'll show you that in a second. And then the Peterson's tree guide. I don't have that to show you. So this is the book that you read out of. Again, this is not colored. They're all soft cover books. And the inside is black and white, not colored, other than the color that you see that my daughter colored with her note-taking. So, Book of Trees, here is the contents, if you want to pause that and look at it a little bit closer. We've got 7 chapters, 7 chapters. The 7th chapter is kind of a project. It says Observing Trees, and I'll show you that here in a second. We haven't got to that yet. And then there's advanced work, 2 additional chapters. And I will kind of show you what that's about here in a second. So chapter 1, these are very short chapters in my opinion. Here is chapter 1, The Beauty of Trees, Why Study Trees. It does have, detailed pictures like the other one had, but not in color. And that was it. That was chapter 1. Right there. 1, 2, 3 pages was chapter 1. Chapter 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages was chapter 2. So very short chapters. This did not take long at all for my daughter to finish, even with trying to drag it out. It didn't take her long. And let me show you. Just kind of go through here a little bit more so you can kind of see the pictures, the stem. So this gives you a lot of different studies about trees. It starts with, it says the beauty of trees, why study trees, plant systems and organs, the root system, the stem, the leaves, the flowers, fruits, observing trees, photosynthesis, respiration. So you get a really good overview of the animal or the plant kingdom. Biology give an overview of everything. This is given an overview of the trees. Some more pictures, again black and white. She's got some notes in here. Lots of notes. She's all about note taking. She wanted to know if she could write in the book. And some of my books I don't let her write in because I know we're going to use them later again for my younger daughter, but it really helps her to study. So we just kind of go with what works for her. She colored that flower. That was a black and white picture. So it helps her to study and to remember the things by taking notes and coloring things. So I let her do it. All right, so that was the reader book. Not the workbook, but the reader book. This is the workbook. And I showed you how short those chapters were. Let me show you the questions for each chapter. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but one of our cats is in the room with me and she is snoring. So here is the table of contents for the workbook. It goes along with the same chapters. It's broken up into units and then the lessons. And then there is an overview of how to do this curriculum. You know, I'm all for doing things your own way, but if you want to follow this, it tells you. All right, so Unit 1, the root and the stem. We have Lesson 1. This is it. You've got the questions, and then you have an activities to choose from. You can do all of them, you can do one of them, you can do none of them. So I think we went doing one, and then sometimes we would do two, depending on how long the chapter was. And it also tells you in here what pages in the reader book that this goes with. So Lesson 1, it says the Book of Trees, pages 5 through 7. So they would know to read pages 5 through 7 to answer these questions. Very easy, open and go. It's very easy for my daughter to plan the workout for herself. Lesson 2, this is the questions and then the activities to choose from. And I had 2 different things to choose from. On this one, I had her do both. It just kind of depended on what it was, if it was something that we were even able to do. Sometimes it asks you to have resources available that we didn't have available, so we just didn't do it. Just got to make it work for you. Chapter 3, again, like I was saying, it tells you what pages to read. This one says Book of Trees, pages 13 through 18, so they know what they're supposed to be reading to answer these questions. Same thing, there's Lesson 4, questions, and then activities to choose from. And in the back of this, let me see. Okay, and what I was saying about the observing trees section, it's kind of I'm treating this as a project, like an end of the year project. And we are waiting for the trees to be a little bit more in bloom around here. Right now, I'm in North Carolina and we are in that fake spring, I think, to where I believe we're probably going to get some more winter. Some of the trees around here are already budding and blooming, which is crazy because it's the middle of February. So I had already planned with this curriculum that she was not going to start the tree observations until the 1st of April. We might do it in March. Just depends on how the weather is going. But for sure, I was not going to make her start this at least until April 1st so that she would have all of April and all of May, about 8 weeks, to do this. So for those chapters, for that tree project, it doesn't have any pages for them to be reading because it's not a question and answer kind of thing. So there's nothing in this book for them to do the observing trees section. And when you get here, it'll shows you observing trees, and they're numbered. Tree observation number 1. And you've got 2 pages here. I think it's just 2 pages. Let me double check. Nope, 3 pages. 3 pages for tree observation number 1. And then this moves on, tree observation number 2. The cat's snoring is getting louder. Let me see if it's 3 pages. Yep, 3 pages per tree, and they're numbered 1 through, I believe it's 15. I don't know if we're going to do 15 or not, but there is the option to go all the way to 15. And what this is, let me just hold it still on one of these for you. Okay, tree observation number 2. Let me hold that still on page 1 of number 2. And then on page 2 and 3. So she has the option in the book, I mean, you could do more if you wanted to, but anywhere between 1 and 15 trees that she is supposed to go and find all this information on these. So I think we've got 15 trees around here. If we have to go to, park or my mom's house or something like that, then we'll do that. But it says, choose a tree to observe and collect specimens of leaves, flowers, and fruits. I'm waiting until April-ish, March, April-ish, when the trees around here are budding so that she can collect flowers and fruit. All right, structure and location. Where is the tree located? What shape is its crown? This is information that they're going to learn doing this book, so that once they get to this point, they'll know what they're looking for. Bark. What is the color and texture of the bark? Does the tree appear to be young or old? Leaves. Which of the 2 major categories of leaves does the tree possess? Are the leaves single or compound? Is there anything special about this leaf? Flowers. Does the tree produce flowers or cones? What color are the petals? So this is kind of a accumulation of the things that they've learned in the book, and then they're putting that knowledge to the test with these observations. Fruits. Is the fruit fleshy or dry? If a fleshy, simple fruit, what kind is it? Identifying the tree. A common name for this type of tree. Researching the tree. Use the Peterson's Guide and the tree book. We can learn more about this type of tree. So they can go back and learn some more off of the reader books that they were using, but also you should use the Peterson's Guide, and I will be getting that before we start this. What is the Latin name for this type of tree? What is this type of tree's natural habitat? What type of wood does this tree have, and for what is it used? Share any interesting facts. Common name of the tree, and this is sketching, so it's kind of another section for the same tree. You're listing the information that you've already told, but it says common name of the tree. In the space below, use the leaf sample you collected from the tree you observed, and to the best of your ability, sketch a picture of the leaf. And then down here in the space below, use the flower or fruit samples you collected, and to the best of your ability, sketch a picture of each. If you were unable to collect a sample, use a picture in either the Peterson's Guide or the tree book. So if you're in a climate that you can't do this, if you don't have trees around you, if you don't have the option to go somewhere and let your kid look at trees and get these hands-on samples to look at, then that's what the books are for. They can do the research online. You can use these specific books, the Peterson's Guide, and print out pictures, draw pictures from that, if you don't have the option to do the hands-on. And that's it. You've got 1 through 15 of all of these same things. And then you have the teacher guide. Let me show you a little bit of this. Again, another soft cover, black and white on the inside. It's split up into the same chapters. Model lesson plan gives you an idea of how to teach the curriculum. Review, reading and questions, diagrams and labeling, activities. So like I say, you can kind of go with this and do it however you need to. And this is laid out exactly like the workbook. The pages look identical, except for you have the answers. Not to the activities, because there are no answers for that. You kind of got to grade that yourself. So answers to the questions are in here. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, or Lesson 1, Lesson 2. And then you get to the back here. And this actually, it gives you samples of how you would answer these questions. And it actually gives you trees that you can do. It doesn't have anything in the sketching section, but it does give trees in the answer key. I'm not going to use this. We're going to find our own trees. The trees in my area are not going to be the same in your area or the same of wherever they collected this information from. But it does give you kind of a guide of what their answers should look like. And then the advanced work, that's the answer keys to that. This goes into more detailed stuff, I guess. Photosynthesis, things that are a little bit harder to answer. They got to think a little bit more on these questions. Right now I'm having my daughter go through and do these chapters while we're waiting on the weather to cooperate and the trees to start budding correctly. So she's doing this, and then she's going to go back and do that the tree observation project. This is the review, and then you have the quizzes, tests, and keys. I did not use these tests for her, or these quizzes. As for grading, we use the workbook. So these are not filled in, but this is what it looks like. Lesson 3 quiz, Lesson 4 quiz, and they're pretty short. It's all one page. And then Unit 1 test. That tests you on lessons 1 through 4. So you got the quizzes, and then you have the test. And this test is 3 pages. Lesson 6 quiz, and so on. So pretty short. You've got all the question and answers that you need, and this is the advanced, those last couple chapters, the quizzes for those. And like I say, you can do this however you need to. You can kind of make this work for you, but that is an overview of what those 2 curriculums look like. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you. If you want a closer picture or a link or something to where I bought these, I got these off of christianbook.com. Anything like that, I'd be happy to help you with. Just leave me a comment and I will see y'all on the next video. Bye.